Good evening. What's up, everybody? I'm broadcasting live on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm also broadcasting live. I'm going to be posting that on YouTube for those of you who do watch on Thursday. It's great to see y'all once again. I hadn't been on here in like a long time. You see, you boy got the hat. I need a haircut. Can't let y'all see the no, I'm scruffy, but it's good to see y'all. Happy New Year to everybody. I missed y'all last month. It was a couple of people that said that they missed my Bible study. I appreciate that. And anytime you get a good compliment, hey man, thank you. Thanks to everybody who did watch. For the months and weeks leading up to our last episode of last year, and so I just took some time, in December to kind of just chill and relax. See some TG and Mike's coming on. Once again, it's good to see y'all. Normally what I do on Wednesday nights is I just do a quick little Bible study, something to help encourage our faith for those of us who are Christians or those of us who have questions about Christianity or who've been thinking about it. And so what I do is I try to give some things to kind of help, to kind of encourage or boost our faith, if you will. And so that's what I do on Wednesday nights, man. I just try to encourage people. So, not going to take too much time. I don't think I'm going to go to full 30 minutes tonight. But if you have questions, man, leave those questions. I do come back and I read them and I will answer, or you can DM me or whatever, however you feel it. But tonight, our lesson is coming from 2 Chronicles chapter 33. Well, it starts in 33 and then 34. But I'm just going to read 34, 1 through 3. And then we going to kind of just, roll right on into it. All right, it's the beginning of the year. Happy New Year once again. 2 Chronicles 34. I'm gonna read it, and then we're gonna just kind of walk through it. Okay, so Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. An 8-year-old king. That's crazy. And he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. He did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight and followed the example of his ancestor David. I'm reading out of the New Living Translation. Let me back up. He did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight and followed the example of his ancestor David. He did not turn aside from doing what was right. And let me turn this. I don't want to be getting no distractions, if you know what I mean. All right. There you go. All right. Let me just start over. It's like Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. And he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. He did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight and followed the example of his ancestor David. He did not turn aside from doing what was right. During the 8th year, I'm going to stop at 3. During the 8th year of his reign, while he was still young, Josiah began to seek the God of his ancestor David. Then in the 12th year, he began to purify Judah and Jerusalem, destroying all the pagan shrines, the Asherah poles, and the carved idols, and cast images. All right. And it's not really a topic, but if there was going to be a topic, it would be seek God. And so normally, you know what I'm saying, at the beginning of the year, I always encourage people to evaluate, right? To evaluate those areas that you struggled in, that you overcame, that you did better at for the previous year. And so it's kind of the same thing this year. I encourage people to evaluate, but with this lesson, it's 2 Chronicles. With the lesson, what I really want to kind of highlight is the seeking of God. And so why is that important? Some people, they say it, or they, you hear it a lot at church, but why is that important? I think it's important. If I could just, what I'm saying, just be honest. Me being 22, 23, 24, 25, growing on up, there were some things about me that I learned, right? There were some things about me that some situations pushed me to learn. I came to know some different things about myself based on some of the situations or the experiences that I went through. And I said that to say that I didn't know myself. And most of you who watch, and most of you who come to me with questions, a lot of the times my counsel is to take more time to learn and understand you. And this is one of the reasons why I always encourage people to evaluate, right? And then seek after God. Because one of the scriptures that the Bible says is that He knows the amount of numbers that are on your head. Now, I've been living with myself. I'm 34. I'm about to be 35. No jokes. I'm about to be 35, so I'm getting on up there. If you can, I got some grays coming in a couple of places. But the thing of it is, I don't know how many hairs I have on my head, but he does. And so a lot of times people think that it's said to seek God because it sounds religious or it sounds spiritual or it sounds but I tell people to seek after God because he leads you to a better revelation or knowledge of who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your gifts and what your talents are, the things that you should spend your time doing and focus your energy and efforts doing. And most of the time, and this is why I always do this at the beginning of the year, because if you evaluate, you will begin to see the things, right, that you spent your time or you've spent your effort going after last year that really amounted to nothing. Things and people that you wasted time with that weren't productive or helping you to get to that next level in your life. And so most of the time, what I love to do is I love to take that time to evaluate, especially at the beginning of the year. Why? Because you don't want to waste time going after something that's not worth it. You don't want to waste time or spend months, time that you can't get back, spending energy and time and effort chasing after something, right? That is going to, leave you empty. And so tonight, we're coming from Chronicles, and that's just kind of the prequel to the lesson. And if I could, give it a title, it would be, what are you chasing? What are you going after? And so in Second Chronicles, for those of you that don't know, it's actually a parallel to First and Second Kings. First and Second Chronicles and what it does is it gives you a history of the nation of Israel. It gives history. It's a historical book. What it does is it basically goes down the line. But the thing that's different about Second Chronicles is that it gives the history, but it gives it through a religious lens. It gives it through a religious lens, and it only highlights the two tribes that are called Judah, and you'll see Jerusalem, King of Jerusalem, King of Judah, in the King James Version. But it gives it through a religion lens to highlight their relationship with God as their lifeline to new life after tragedy. And so I could really take some time and deal with that. But it gives the history, but it gives it through a religious lens to highlight their relationship with God as their lifeline to new life after tragedy. And so one of the things that really converted me was that I had made so many mistakes in my early years, right? And when I came to God, when I really wholeheartedly came to him, my life was kind of tore up. My life was kind of tore up. I was dealing with a lot of the consequences of the choices that I made from my past. And one of the things that helped me was I would pray to God and I would ask him to do different things in my life because I needed a complete life transformation. And I started noticing that he was helping me. He would help me to get opportunities. He would help me to get jobs. He would help me to get things. And so this is why I can kind of appreciate Second Chronicles, because what the nation of Israel had come out of, they were in captivity. In other words, it's like somebody had took them and made them slaves, and then now they're freed. And so now they have Chronicles, and what Chronicles does is serves as an encouragement for them. And it kind of show it what it does for me. Just for me is it encourages my faith because it lets me know that God is the lifeline to new life after you made some mistakes. So if you like me, I'm real stubborn, pig-headed, made a lot of stupid choices, but to know that God has the power and the ability to work and continue to work in your life. And another thing that I love is that it shows that God has the power to help you rebuild your life, those things that have been broken, those things that have been torn down, those bad decisions that you made. It shows that God, even at the darkest times, right, that on the flip side of it, that God does not abandon us when times get dark, that God does not abandon us when times get rough or tough, but he continues to work. And that's one of the things that I learned about God and I love about God, is that just because things are going bad, it does not stop God from working things to be good. Just because things are going bad, it doesn't stop God from working good. And a lot of times we don't see the good that comes out of the bad until you get to the other side of the situation. And that's why, when I look at Chronicles, I see that what he does is he shows them that all throughout the time that it seemed bad, that God was still working something good. All throughout the time that it seemed negative, that God was still working the positive. All of the different times, right, that you didn't understand what was going on, that God was still at work. And I think that can serve as an encouragement to some of us, right, to know that even when things don't look good, that God is still working something good, and you don't recognize it. And this is why I have to always encourage people, especially those of us who believe in God, because a lot of times it doesn't seem like good is coming out of it. It doesn't seem like right can come out of so much wrong. It don't seem like that anything good can come out of such a negative circumstance, but you don't recognize it until you get to the other side and you realize, dang, God had been really working the whole time, because you see how bad it could have went and that it didn't. And so tonight, the lesson in 34, it focuses on a king named Josiah. And, by reading the Chronicles, most people, these books be insignificant because they have this king did this and he died, and then this son, this king did this and he died, and then this son. And it seems real insignificant. But what I love about Josiah, and it seems insignificant because he is sandwiched in between a whole lot of negative. Right. And I want y'all to catch this, that he is sandwiched in between a whole lot of negative, but he stands as a glaring positive. I want to stress that there are bad kings before him and there are bad kings after him, but he stands as a glaring positive. And one of the things I always take from that, right, is that think that, you know what, let me just marketize. I'm gonna just say it the way that I feel it, is that sometimes that all people see is negative and all people hear is negative and all people experience is negative. And sometimes somebody can be having a bad day, you yourself can be having a bad day, but you take out just a part of your day to lend a smile or to be nice to somebody or to not jab back at somebody when they jab back at you, and you don't recognize that one good gesture, right, can make your day go a little bit better as well as somebody else's. And the thing I love about it is that Josiah chose to be different. He chose to be different. He didn't want to be like his dad. He didn't want to be like his granddad. He chose to be different. And I want to say this to somebody who is watching. It takes courage to be who you are and not try to be like everybody else. If you would have told me this some years ago, right, I felt like I had to get married because everybody else was getting married. Well, I got married first, but back in the day when I was married, this is what everybody else is doing. I had certain things going in my life because I feel like this was the things to do. This is the right thing to do. This is what everybody is doing, so I need to do it. But it takes courage to be confident and sure enough of yourself to just, you know what, maybe that's just not for me. You know what I'm saying? And I like that because his father and his grandfather were bad religious examples, right? But Josiah decided that he was going to be a good example. And I like that. It's significant because sometimes we have to live through bad examples while life demands that you be a good example. Have you ever been there to where, and I know I've talked to a whole lot of people, right, young men, and especially fathers, because I'm a father, and I try to be the best kind of father that I can be. But I talk to a lot of people who weren't raised by fathers, or who fathers weren't in the house, and now they're trying to be fathers, who didn't have dads in the house, right? Who never saw that dynamic between a father loving his wife the right way, and now they grow up and they're trying to be husbands, and sometimes they get it wrong, or they make mistakes, not intentionally, but just because they don't have that example. And so what do you do when God calls you to walk into an arena or a certain area of your life that you've never seen pattern? What happens when God calls you, or when life calls you to stand up in the area that you don't have an example to pattern your behavior after? And most of the time people take that as a negative, right? Because my dad wasn't there, so now I use that as an excuse, right, when I make a mistake, as opposed to using that as an inspiration, right, to do the best that I can do. And I like that Josiah, he does not he said, I'm not gonna be like them. I'm not gonna be like them. I'm just gonna kind of do something different. I believe that sometimes in life, God will call you to stand in places that other people, but that you may have seen other people fail at in your life. And so I don't want us to get, I don't want us to misinterpret that. Just because you and your mom didn't have a good relationship, that don't mean you still recreate that negative between you and your daughter, but you ought to use that as a fuel, right? To push you to want to have a better relationship with your daughter than what you had with your mom. What do you do when God calls you to step out? I started doing TGM as just a church, but I saw bad examples of church, right? I saw bad examples, and I wanted my church to be completely different. But what do you do, right, when God wants you to stand up in areas where you saw others fail in areas? What do you do when God wants you to walk a path, right, that you haven't seen nobody else walk? You know that there's something different out there. You know your heart is calling you to do this and to be this, but you don't have a good pattern to pattern yourself after. We can't allow bad examples to be our excuse to become bad examples. I saw it, but I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to do church like everybody else did church. My dad did his best. He raised us right, but I saw some things that I could draw from that, but then I saw some things I didn't want to take from that, and I created my own, my own lane. And here's what the thing is that most of us, we shout when if I was to tell you that God wanted you to do some different things in your life, right? You'll probably shout about that, but we don't think about what it's going to take to walk a path that there are no footsteps that to go in front of you. You see what I'm saying? And so I love it because Josiah chose to change his narrative. He chose to change his narrative. Here's my question to you. What kind of narrative do you have in your life? What kind of narrative do you have? And I love it because it's never too late to change your narrative. I love that. Hey, I see that. I see that. I love that Josiah chose to change his narrative. I know what they were, but I'm not going to be that. I know what they did, but I'm not going to do that. I know the path that they chose, but I'm not going to choose that. And it's evident because in verse 3, it says he sought after God. To me, that says he wanted something different and more productive for his life. You know what? It's 2020, right? And I know we always say that new year, new year, new me. I don't want to hear that, man. I don't want to hear that. Here's my thing. My thing is, what do you want that's different than what you have seen? What do you want to see that's different than what you have seen? What do you want to experience that's different than what you experienced? One of the things that I did in my life, I said, you know what, we grew up in a, it was a low income neighborhood. It was different things that you saw every day, not taking nothing away from that experience. And I love it. My mom did the best that she could, raising 4 boys by herself. And I applaud her for what she accomplished. But there came a time in my life, right, that I had to decide I'm not going to be living paycheck to paycheck, right? I'm not going to be struggling all my life, and here's the thing. The thing is that Josiah decided, I want something different. I want something more productive. And that's my question to you. You went through all of 2019 seeing what you saw, experiencing what you experienced. My question to you is, don't you want to see something different or more productive for your 2020? Don't you want to see something different? Don't you want to experience something different? Don't you want to take that next step? And a lot of times we get excited in church when we say, God gonna elevate you, that greater is coming into your life. But we don't recognize that elevation requires effort. Here's what it says. He sought after God. I want to tell you something. If you want to walk a different path, if you want to go higher, if you want to be greater, if you want to have more, if you want to do more, right, you have to understand that elevation requires effort. A lot of times we expect God to do something that he's not going to do. And I want to stress this, right, that I want to stress this because what we are known for doing is asking God. We ask God for stuff. And I want you to understand that we have not because we ask not. But there are some things that will not come in your life if you do not move from asking to seeking. And here's the principle tonight in the text. He sought after God. The principle is, right, is that you can sit down and ask, But sometimes the solution will not come by you simply sitting there asking. Sometimes God requires us to seek. This is the second step. Go from asking to seeking. If I was to ask you, what did you ask God for 2020? Can I see your feet matching in the seeking? I know you asked, but are you seeking after it? What are you chasing? That's the question. What are you chasing? You ask God for it, but have you started to chasing it? And it's the problem. We ask God for solutions that we aren't willing to seek out on our own. And for those of you who said, I want to have a different credit score than what mama never taught us about credit, right? Daddy never, I don't know about y'all, that maybe that ain't your testimony, but my daddy never sat me down and talked about being in debt or coming out of debt or changing my credit score or money management, right? He make your money and run, these kinds of things. He never actually just talked to me about some certain different things, right? And I just decided, man, I don't want to live in debt. I want my credit to be a little different. I want my health to be a little different. I want things in my life to be a little different. But the thing is that the question that I'm asking is, I can ask God for good health, but have I done my job in seeking out the right kind of information? And so this is what I want us to move into 2020. What's up, Auntie? I see you. But look, this is what I want us to move into 2020. When we ask God, put your feet to your faith and seek the answer. Don't just ask, seek the answer. Seek the answer. And this is not spiritual. This is just very practical, right? We have got to start putting this, what the text says. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And if I could just take 2 seconds and I'm going to be done, right? Because I want to stress the importance of seeking. And this ain't spiritual. This ain't spiritual. It's very practical. My thing is, he said that my people, so he calls us his people, are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And here's the thing. So you can be a Christian, you can be a child of God, but your credit be destroyed, right? You can be a child of God, but your marriage be destroyed, your relationships be destroyed, your money be destroyed, your happiness be destroyed. And the thing is that we have bad relationships, bad marriages, not because we don't have good intentions, but because we don't have good sound information. Then this not spiritual. And here's the thing. What are you chasing after? My G, what are you chasing after? My lady, what are you chasing after this year? Because my thing is, if you want to see it, you got to learn to seek after it. Seek after it. Look that word up. I don't go to Hebrew and I don't go to Greek. But in the Webster's dictionary, it says to attempt, to habitually attempt to put your foot on and walk therein. The thing is, are you seeking it? When somebody says to me that they want to change, like, well, I had to do this. I just had to do this. I didn't know nobody in my circles that was thinking about credit. I didn't know nobody in my circles, right, that was thinking about getting out of debt, having more than $1,000 in the bank that don't belong to nobody, more than $1 million in the bank that don't belong to nobody, right? Nobody was sitting me down, giving me the steps on how to do that. I had to go to the library. I had to put my mind around some different information. I asked God for wealth, but then I started to seek out ways. Come on, are y'all hearing me tonight? I want you to understand, right? It says that he sought after God. Sometimes God doesn't put the answer right in front of you, but he makes it to where you have to put forth the effort to seek it out, to seek it out. Why, God, if you know the answer, why won't you just tell it to me? If you know the solution, why won't you just give it to me, impart it to me in my mind, in my sleep, right? Give me a dream. You are powerful, you are knowing. Why not, God, just speak it to me so that I have a clear, simple understanding of it? And the thing is that God, sometimes he don't just drop the answer in your spirit. He don't just give it to you in your mind. Why not? And I stress this because he wants you to grow. We don't recognize this, but in seeking, you grow your mind. In seeking, you elevate and grow, and you transform. This will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind won't be renewed just by impartation, right? But sometimes God will make it to where you have to seek it. You have to pull those books out, right? And you have to read. You have to study. You have to immerse yourself in some new information. And this is a simple word for 2020. What are you chasing after this year? And is my question is, what are you asking God for? And then the question is, are you chasing after it? Are you chasing it? Is your mind in a place? Because I think sometimes when we mess up, and look, this ain't got nothing to do with the Holy Ghost. This is all practical, right? Sometimes we saved, right? But our marriages are failing. We saved, but we broke. Right? We saved, but we're not enjoying life to its full potential because we have limited information. My people are being destroyed for lack of knowledge. Change came for Josiah and the children of Israel because Josiah searched for something different. My question is, what are you searching for? What are you in seeking? You elevate and you grow. What are you searching for? How are you growing your mind in that area? I was listening to a man, and some of y'all probably know him, some of y'all don't. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world. And what he said he does every morning is he simply reads. He reads. He reads. And you know what? It amazes me at the amount of people who don't immerse themselves in the information. If you tell me that you want to be a millionaire, my question to you is, what are the millionaires doing? If you don't know that information, right? Look, if you don't know that information, how will you ever expect to even get to that level? And so I want us to understand this, and as I be done tonight, that's not spiritual, but I want us to understand, right, that sometimes we expect God to give us a table, and we don't understand that God is not in the table making business. God gives trees, right, and then it's up to you to take what he give, take them resources and make something out of it. So you wanting God to make you a table, and God said, I don't make tables, I make trees. He'll give you the resource, but then it becomes up to you as to how you use those resources. And sometimes God will place the information that you need, that's your answer right in front of you, but we too lazy to do what? Seek after it. And so tonight, man, before I close, I just want to encourage you to go from asking to seeking. Stop just asking for it and start chasing after it. Stop asking for it and start seeking after it. Put yourself in a place where you can hear different information, new information, better information, productive information. You will always be where you always been if you can't think different. You will never think different if you don't open yourself to different stuff. And so tonight, if I could leave you with anything, man, go from asking to seeking. So with that, I don't know how long I was on, but I'm finna cut it off. Hopefully I encouraged you, I helped you tonight. Going into 2020, man, let's do some things different. Let's look for some things different. Let's be better fathers and better mothers to our kids. Let's be better husbands, better wives. Let's be better employees. If you own your own business, man, do yourself a favor and work for yourself, man. Work for your own company. Be a better employee to you. You know what I'm saying? Let's be better preachers. Let's be better church members. If you go to church, be better Christians, man. Let's be better as people. So in 2020, man, stop asking, start seeking. So look, guys, check out the website. That'll tell you everything you need to know about our ministry. We do a whole lot of things, too many things for me to go over tonight. But if you're looking for somewhere where you can be active in ministry, active, and I mean active, like we do stuff. We go to nursery homes, we go to schools, we feed the homeless. We do a lot of different things. Just go to the website, man, leave your information, and I will gladly get back to you because we do need volunteers. If you're looking for a church, go to the website, or you can come visit us on any Sunday morning. We start our service at 8:15. It's a small congregation, a small, quick service. We get in, we get out, we get the word, and that's it, man. So anyway, thanks for everybody who tuned in. Thanks for you guys who are going to be watching this tomorrow on our YouTube channel, TGM Television. Go look that up and subscribe to that. Thanks to everybody who joined on Instagram. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all next week. Hopefully it encouraged you. Goodbye. I'm getting off. Have a good night.